warm good afternoon to you, our Sagicor clients and friends. To all those joining us on Facebook, Instagram, or other social media channels, as well as those listening on the radio. We are so grateful for this opportunity to connect with you as you join our first ever Southern Caribbean virtual client town hall. My name is Carolyn Shepard, and I am the Vice President of Marketing for Sagicor Life and Sagicor General Inc. And it's indeed my pleasure to be your moderator for today's discussion. COVID-19 has introduced a new reality for all of us, especially in the way we do business. Despite this, Sagicor remains fully operational, and our team members in various departments and territories remain available to serve you remotely and are committed to keeping our promises to you. We've made every attempt to keep you informed via local media, SMS, email, our social media channels, and via our website at sagicor.com/inthistogether. Here you can find out how to contact us, file a claim, start a conversation on life insurance coverage, or make a payment. Today, we wanted to take this one step further by making ourselves available to you to answer any specific questions you may have. We've asked you to submit those questions via email, and that you did. And you can continue to do so during this broadcast. And the email address is inthistogether@sagicor.com. We will try to cover as many questions as possible during this period. Questions may also be submitted via social media on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. This afternoon, our panelists hail from all over the Caribbean and from various business units within Sagicor, and they are all eager to answer your queries. Here to answer your questions are our President and CEO of Sagicor Life Inc., Mr. Ravi Rambaran, our Executive Vice President and General Manager, Sagicor Life Inc., with oversight of Trinidad and Tobago and the Dutch Caribbean, Mr. Robert Trestrill, our Executive Vice President and General Manager, Sagicor Life Barbados, Mr. Edward Clark, our Executive Vice President and General Manager Designate for Barbados, Mr. Paul Innes, our Executive Vice President Human Resources, Mrs. Marguerite Eswick, President and CEO of Sagicor General, Mr. Keston Howell, President and CEO of Sagicor Life Eastern Caribbean and Belize, Mr. Donald Austin, Vice President Sagicor Life Insurance Operations, Mr. Raul Williams, Vice President of Group Insurance, Mrs. Susan Boyer, Vice President Operations Sagicor Life Inc., Mr. James Camacho, and of course, our Vice President of Marketing, Communications, and Brand Experience, Ms. Ingrid Card. Welcome, panelists. Now, before we start to channel your questions to this panel, I first wish to invite our President and CEO of Sagicor Life Inc., Mr. Ravi Rambaran, to give us an overview of the economic outlook for the region and on Sagicor as a regional entity. Ravi, over to you to share your perspective. Muted, Ravi. Ravi, you're muted.
Thank you, Carolyn, and welcome to our Sagicor clients. Firstly, we would like to thank you genuinely for being our clients. To those of our clients who have lost loved ones because of this pandemic, we extend our heartfelt condolences. To those of our clients whose loved ones have tested positive, we wish you a speedy recovery. And genuinely to those of our clients who are members of the armed services, healthcare workers, working in the food industry, who are out there on the front line, we salute you as really the unsung heroes of this battle against this pandemic. And we thank you very much for your selfless service. This town hall meeting is really meant to be a conversation. And what Sagicor has brought out is its best playing 11, to use a cricket analogy. Don't be too concerned if you don't remember all of the names, all of the titles. A conversation is exactly that. You know, please address us by our first names. If you wish to introduce your name, that's fine. If you don't, that's okay. And the purpose of this conversation is really to share with you our views, but more importantly, to hear your views. Some of your views may be complementary. That will tell us that some things we're getting right. Some of your views may be, you know, what we view as constructive criticism. That demonstrates that we have things to get right. And we ask that you continue to support us as we look to improve. Now, we at Sagicor, we believe the one takeaway in all of this is that we are making decisions based on speed, based on compassion, and those decisions based on speed and compassion with the primary objective of protecting lives. And it's not just protecting lives of our own staff or our advisors, it's of everyone, and our actions are geared towards that. So speed and compassion are driving us. And you notice I use the word us because we believe no matter how uncertain things may be now, if we continue to act together, we can and we will overcome. That is a fundamental belief. That's a fundamental takeaway. And acting together is not just a set of words. It's we will work with you no matter how bleak you may view your relationship or the future. We will work with you. We will find a way to work with you, and we will only give up working with you when you give up. You will have to be the first to give up. We will not be the first. At the same time, let me share with you, our responses. Our responses have been at really many levels. First, at the regional level, Sagicor was the first to commit, and I believe, $1 million US to the region because we operate in 19 countries. These are our homes. So we have committed $1 million US, and primarily for the provision of protective gear, testing kits, ventilators, etc., to the various countries. But that's at a regional level. At a client level, we have provided various forms of assistance in the first instance, and note my words, in the first instance, in the first 3 months, ending June, payment deferrals for the first 3 months for those who wish to take advantage of those, for those who have commercial mortgages, residential mortgages, for those who have premium paying policies. At the same time, to our pensioners, we have provided payments early to those in our health plans. We have said we'll provide up to 3 months supply upfront of pharmaceutical drugs. So we are trying as best as we can to be part of the solution and to reduce the stress, because we recognize that every morning when you get up and every night when you go to sleep, there is a barrage of bad news. And so we are not here to provide bad news to you. We are here to help you because we recognize the hard-fought, hard-won sacrifice to being one of our clients, because these are deliberate, long-term, sacrificial decisions to be a client, to put your trust in us because you've given us your money, and one day down the road, we have to be there. And that is why also we will honor all COVID-related claims, whether they be on our normal insurance policies, on our health insurance policies. We are not seeking any ambiguity to deal with that. So at a regional level, at a client level, that's the second level, the client level, those are our reliefs. To the vulnerable, many of the vulnerable, in fact, I would say 100% of the vulnerable are simply not our clients. But again, our vision is not just a set of words on a piece of paper. Our vision is to improve the lives of communities in which we operate in. So we deliberately set out to target the vulnerable in terms of the homeless, in terms of orphanages, in terms of those elderly in the care homes, because to a large extent, they depend a lot upon the goodwill of our people. And we recognize that people may have that mental goodwill, but in these economic hardships, they may not have that economic goodwill. And so we are saying, okay, we will step in there and do something. And this type of behavior has been across the board. Our advisors and our staff, they have been doing tremendous work in this regard. Now, some of you may have seen some interruptions in service, but I'd like you to know that certainly even before there were various lockdowns and shutdowns in the Caribbean, we had close to 50% of our people working from home, because we have been monitoring this situation since it occurred in Wuhan, China. And long before these lockdowns occurred, we had close to 100% of our people working from home. So I would say that we have tried as much as possible to have a seamless transition to working from home. But we also need your help. We recognize that some of you still insist, where you do have bank accounts or where you have accounts with credit unions, some of you still insist on using cash or using checks. We're asking you, please work with us, because we don't wish to endanger you, and equally, we don't believe you would wish to endanger us by breaking the rules of social distancing. Very simple. My life depends upon you, your life depends upon me. And so there's a merit of, as much as possible, please work with us in digitizing or having electronic payments, both on the premium side or on the claim side. We believe that we'll be in such a situation for at least a year and a half. And why a year and a half? So end of 2021, because according to the experts, the uncertainty around health will only be resolved really through a vaccine. Social distancing, these are intermediate measures, but they're not long-term measures towards containment. And so Sagicor has really made some significant progress towards operating on a long-term basis, on a work-from-home basis in a digitization space. And we are constantly seeking to improve, because we recognize, at least until 2021, until a vaccine is created, this is where we'll be. But that still leaves us with economic uncertainty, because because all of our economies will have to rebuild. In fact, the global economy will have to be rebuilt. And again, what I'll say to you is, we will work with you to help reshape our economies, because at the end of the day, the insurance industry and your participation, the investment industry and your participation simply can't work. No economy can be rebuilt without a vibrant and thriving insurance industry. We are the financial shock absorbers of society. So again, I open by saying we will work with you. I will end by saying we will work with you. And if you want an acronym, for those of you who are Generation Z and millennials, WWWY, we'll work with you. Okay, so Carolyn, over to you. And I'm really looking forward. I'm excited about, having a conversation with our clients, because normally we converse with you passively through other media. So let's take advantage and let's talk.
Let's talk indeed. So we have a lot of questions regarding getting payments to us, making payments to us. And I'll start there because there are quite a bulk of those. And the first one is out of Antigua. And the question is, currently in Antigua, First Caribbean is the only bank that Sagicor has as a merchant or a vendor for insurance payments. Is Sagicor planning on adding other banking institutions to the roster in order to facilitate insurance payments?
Okay, so what I will ask is Don, who is in charge of our operations in the Eastern Caribbean, to take that, because Don?
Certainly. Good afternoon to everyone. I would like that I'd like to say that we are indeed looking at the whole area of payments for premiums. And we have instituted within Antigua a process where through your local banks, you can use the electronic funds transfer arrangements with your bank to make your premium payments. So whilst it may go via another bank, you can effectively go onto your bank system, online payment system, and make those payments. You just need to effectively we'll provide you with the information, our banking details, our routing number, as well as our bank account number, but we do allow all of our customers to make premium payments through their banking arrangements. We do not necessarily have to have a bank account with the bank that we are using to make those transfers. So what I will ask that person to do is certainly to contact our call center. They can dial 1-800-744-7707 to get that information. Or they can effectively contact our local call center in Antigua, which is ANU Call Center Queries. And we will work with you to get you signed within your banking system on that. So I think it's fair to say that yes, we don't have accounts with every bank within Antigua, but we have made arrangements for you to use your own banking facilities to make a payment. Barring that, for those who want to, we also have a drop box at our office, which is open to receive any queries or any payments, and you can also use that as well. But obviously, the banking arrangements with your bank will be the most convenient for you.
Thank you, Don. I'm going to stay with you for a moment because there is actually a question about the Dropbox, and the customer is asking, what is in place to ensure that customers' money have been applied to their insurance plan, as there's no proof of payment with the Dropbox?
Okay, in terms of the Dropbox, it is an arrangement where we do go and review with a couple of our employees. So we have a procedure in place to ensure that when we do clear the Dropbox, there is a clearance process which allows to ensure that those monies are not only recorded, but they're placed to the customer's account. So we do have, as I said, we have, Sagicor may be physically closed, but it is actually continues to be open to the public. So we do take your information and we're processing it. We do have teams working from home. Some teams do visit the location from time to time to collect the relevant information, but teams from home are working constantly. So even though we are closed physically, as Ravi said earlier, all our employees are virtually working from home. So I want customers to be assured that we will ensure that using the Dropbox, your information will get onto the system within a reasonably short period of time. In fact, we see this approach is really delivering the same level of service to you. So it doesn't matter that we're closed physically, you get the same level of service.
Thank you, Don. The next question is Barbados. And the question is, I am a retired UWI staff member, and like many of my former colleagues have joined the plan for retirees in which we pay quarterly premiums. I wasn't able to make my payment for the current period, March to May, and now the campus, including the bursary, are closed. What is the best way for us to make our payments? Can we send checks to Sagicor directly, or can some other arrangement be made to send them via the bursary, or is there some other?
Let me ask Raul to take that. Raul.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. With respect to the question that was just raised in Barbados, if you have a check to send to us, it means therefore that you would have a bank account. And the easiest way to get money to us right now is to go online. when you go online in any of your banks, you can pay us directly by using the transfer facility for any bank that you're doing business with in Barbados. We are currently working with some banks to find a more efficient online banking process for you. But in the interim, in this period, you can use the transfer facility by going to your bank online facility, and using the transfer, you can then pay us directly into our bank account.
Carolyn, the messaging around here is simply help us to help you. If you have a bank account, if you have a credit union account, it means you can make an electronic payment. And we can walk you through it, but help us to help you. You're on mute.
And Ravi, one other thing, one of the values of paying us through your bank account is that it actually saves you money. You no longer have to worry about purchasing checks. There's a cost attached to checks. There's no cost attached to setting Sagicor Life Inc. up as a pay on your bank account and actually paying us through that medium.
Thank you, Paul. Very good point.
And so this particular question is a generic question. They haven't identified their territory, but again, they indicate that they have a standing order at work and prefer to maintain that. I think the concern is that they do not want to accumulate arrears to the point that they're unable to catch up. So I think it's maybe some assurance that as long as they're employed, that they can continue, that we will continue to receive the employer standing order.
Let me try and help that. What we have said and what we have implemented until the end of June, we will not terminate any insurance policies. Full stop. That applies to wherever we operate. Okay. So what we're asking is, so we have made the first step, and rightfully so, we should. So again, help us to help you. Please use this period where we can find a way to create electronic payments. So you have this comfort. We still have 2 months left, May and June, to do this. And that's why we made this commitment. We said for the next 3 months, no policy shall be terminated, because we recognize the multiplicity of ways that our clients are paying us. And we recognize some of them may have challenges in adjusting or executing to electronic payments. So that's why we've made that blanket statement. And we also said that we also recognize that some clients may have some expenses accelerated, being primary caregivers or being the sole breadwinners, or if they are 2 breadwinners and one has been laid off. And so it is within that context we have made these concessions. So again, call us, we will work with you. Contact us, we'll work with you.
Thank you, Ravi. I'm going to turn once more to Dawn on a payment question, and it's because it's very specific to Grenada and to credit unions. And so I know that we're doing a lot of payments through the banking institutions. And the question is, well, first of all, they wanted, the customer says, good morning. Thank you so kindly for the invitation. I applaud your initiatives, your readiness, and you were able to respond very quickly with online solutions, which suggest you're a forward-thinking company. Congratulations. However, I have one concern. I applied for your medical plan, received claims for forms and an FAQ sheet. My concern is that payments can only be made to banks. However, what happens to people like me who operate solely with credit unions? They're abreast and ahead of the banks here in Grenada for service, and it is noteworthy that when you send a direct transfer to a credit union, You're actually sending the money to a bank in Grenada to whom the credit union banks with. So the question is, how do people who bank with credit unions facilitate their payments with?
So could you just repeat the question? Let me just first thank the customer for the comments. I think, you know, as Ravi said, we made sure we got out there ahead of the situation, having analyzed it for quite a period of time. But if you could just repeat the question, just so that I understand fully what the question is.
Don, the gist of the question is that the person signed up for health insurance and needs to start to activate these payments, but only has a credit union account. So is looking for solutions from us.
Right. Okay. The process is that normally if you're paying through your credit union, then it would effectively come through to us eventually. What I would advise the person to do, because we do have a time period that we are not putting any lapses in place, is to continue to make the payments through the credit union so that we will effectively interface with those credit unions to make sure the payments are transitioned into us. That is the quickest way and the easiest way for the person. If they have only an account with the credit union, continue the payments through the credit union.
Thank you, Don.
Yes.
I'm going to move on to some questions on telemedicine, but before I start asking the questions, I'm going to ask Susan to first give a background for anyone who is listening or watching who might not have an overview of what telemedicine is and the service that we've recently launched. Susan? Susan, you're muted.
I'm mute. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Carolyn. And it's indeed a fabulous pleasure for me to say that we have launched our telemedicine on Monday as a phased program. Initially, it will involve a selected pool of health and medical providers and others who have the technological capability to deliver virtual yet personable doctor-parent experience are also invited to come on board. And we are, you know, there are some guidelines. We'd walk you through that process of sign up. We see this as our duty to play our part in making healthcare more convenient, accessible, and safe for our clients. As such, you know, we will be honoring claims for healthcare services, especially those with chronic medical issues, provided through a virtual means, so either by phone or by video. In a time when physical distancing is mandatory to reduce the risk of exposure to COVID, we have clients with conditions that demand constant monitoring. I have a daughter with type 1 diabetes, so I know what it's like, as well as those who require general medical care. So you will agree with your provider which option is best for you, or if this option is suited to your medical issue. And at this time, we will cover for the following services: general practitioner consultations, specialist consultations, psychiatric and consultations, physiotherapy, and speech therapy. Those are the initial list of services that we will cover for, provided that you are eligible in terms of your group plans and your individual health plan. But what I would say, guys, is that, look, we have launched this. We did it quickly. Obviously, this was on our program. We've accelerated it, and we are learning through this period. We will enhance the service. So come back to us with your feedback. We welcome those feedbacks. And again, for providers who have not initially engaged with us, we are asking you to reach out. We will onboard you. And again, this is really our commitment for safety, the safety of our clients, the safety of our providers who are on the front line. And generally, we are doing our part as the nation manages this pandemic.
Thank you, Susan. Now, some of these questions may have been answered in your overview just now, but I just want to make sure that our clients get a direct answer to their direct questions and understand very clearly where we stand on the questions that they've asked. So here goes. Currently, I am unable to visit my physiotherapist because of the lockdown. The clinic is willing to provide virtual or video sessions, but I tried to contact Sagicor to determine how it would work with the Care card. Apparently at that time, the decision still needed to be made on whether the sessions would be covered. And so the customer is saying that they think it's a great idea and they would really like to continue their physiotherapy sessions, but it leaves them in a difficult position if they have to pay fully.
Okay.
I'm sure other people are within the same boat and whose critical care has been interrupted. And therefore my questions are as follows, and there are 5 questions. The first one is, has a decision been made? And of course the answer to that is yes.
Correct. Yes.
Number 2, if sessions are handled under the plans, what would be the process? I don't know if you want me to pause after each one, then, Susan?
Yes, yes, please. Yes. So in terms of the process, so first of all, when a provider signs up, there are a list of guidelines that we provide to the provider or the medical provider, and they will accept those guidelines and we onboard that provider. Now, the provider may not be your provider, and hence we are asking you to encourage them to sign up. That's the first thing, they must be signed up. Yes. Now, if you happen to have a virtual session, because I believe that there are more providers out there providing the service, but perhaps haven't been signed up. If you happen to have received the service virtually and your provider is not on, we will just, and the claim has been submitted, we hold on that claim until that provider is, you encourage your provider to sign up, and once they sign up, we'll process the claim in terms of your eligibility for that claim. It's very simple. So I wake up tomorrow, not feeling so well, I don't want to go out. There's a risk of going out. So what you do is, like you do today, you make that call to your provider, and you set up that appointment, you agree on how that service will be paid for. The service is carried out. We have made our claims forms fillable. The provider will complete that claims form, we'll send it to you, you will endorse it, and then you will submit that to our email address. I believe, let me just tell you what those are. There are a number of email addresses depending on your location. So Barbados local claims at sagicor.com, Trinidad local claims at sagicor.com, EC local claims at sagicor.com, and we are extending the service to Belize, not during next week. And you submit that with the confirmation of payments to us and your banking details. As Ravi said, work with us here. I mean, this is all about physical distancing and maintaining your safety. And once we've received that, we will go ahead and process that claim, and the payment will be made directly to your bank account. That's the process.
So one of the next questions was, again, about a timeline. So we've answered that. The last question is Sagicor looking into healthcare providers being able to accept the Care card online without needing to have a physical card to swipe?
And the way I would answer that is absolutely. As I indicated up front, we've launched this program. We can only get better. We wanted to do this very quickly. We've accelerated it. So we can only get better on this. And absolutely, we've received that question from a number of our clients. And what we will do is we will keep you posted as to when that will come on stream. But the way I would answer that is absolutely.
There's a key takeaway here, Carolyn. Clients can help us by encouraging their providers to use the service. Apart from physical distancing, telemedicine is here to stay. We are not going to be reversing this after COVID, because we recognize too in many of our rural areas, it's where there's a connectivity, it's easier to do so. It saves time it saves transportation, it saves sitting in a doctor's waiting room and simply waiting. So it also improves the quality of life if we value our time. So again, help us to help you.
Absolutely. Thanks, Ravi.
I think certainly that is something that we can all play our part in doing, because we would want our medical providers to be among the cadre of those who provide telemedicine. It saves us time, and it's definitely efficient, more efficient for certain categories of illnesses. Now, I'm going to move over to general insurance for a while. I'm smiling at Keston, but he doesn't know it's him I'm smiling at.
We're all feeling jealous now.
And I'm going to ask a few questions. Now, this question is based on from a customer in Antigua, and he or she asks, if I pay my car insurance, how am I to get my policy to take to the transport board to license my vehicle?
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. That's a very good question. Very early on, when we started contemplating what our response should be in terms of operating remotely, we would have reached out to the relevant authorities to make arrangements which we felt would have been appropriate in the circumstances. So the arrangement which has been sanctioned is that we will send your motor certificate electronically via a PDF document that could be sent either via email or via WhatsApp. We've also arranged to send a copy of that document via email to the transportation board. So you would go in and present your certificate as per usual. They will already have received the certificate from us, and therefore be able to validate that the certificate is in fact bona fide. So really things should operate seamlessly.
The next question is from Barbados, and staying with you, Keston.
Sure.
The question is, now that the market has dried up for hired cars, is there any possibility of a reduction in premium?
The market has dried up for hired cars. Well, I would say we're operating on the principle of what Ravi spoke to, which is compassion. We are always very amenable to making concessions where the economics warrant it. So at this stage, I think it would be a little premature for us to make that assessment because we've been operating for just 4 weeks. But premiums are really a reflection of pricing on risk. And in rating that risk, we take into consideration many factors. The driver, the type of the vehicle, whether it's being used for private or commercial use. It's also influenced as well, not just for motor, but in terms of property, in terms of the reinsurance market. So having regard to all those considerations, if we feel that our claims experience warrants an adjustment in the premium, we will certainly be prepared to do so.
And the final question for now for general insurance is Trinidad and Tobago. First of all, I would like to congratulate Sagicor for this initiative and supply the following for consideration. There's a tendency for property insurance premiums to be increased after regional catastrophes, particularly storms, hurricanes, etc. I am wondering if the insurance industry will now give consideration to reducing general insurance premiums, especially under the motor vehicle premiums, as COVID restrictions have resulted in reduced traffic on the road. So it's a very similar question.
You're correct. And again, the same considerations would apply. I think as time goes on, when we have a sense to determine, because the assumption there would be that the industry's claims experience would be different because there are fewer cars on the road. I think that experience will differ on the market depending on the restrictions which would have been applied by the respective governments. So for instance, in Trinidad and Tobago, while we have a lockdown, there is not a state of emergency. So there, and the commissioner would tell you there's still a fair amount of traffic on the road. So I think when we have more time in terms of this scenario, we could get a better assessment in terms of our claims experience. We'd be in a better position to determine whether or not we can in fact adjust premiums based on that claims experience.
Perhaps, Keston, you can share with them if they're going to not be using their vehicles for a long period of time, they do have the option of suspending coverage.
And that is correct. I mean, there are very many options in this point in time, depending on your own individual circumstance. But certainly private vehicle owners or fleet owners have the option of taking advantage of suspending of coverage if they're of the view that their vehicles will be laid up for a period of 6 weeks or more. So if that is the case, you can approach us, and we have in fact already done so on behalf of several clients, and agree to lay up your vehicle for a period of 6 weeks or more, and we will make adjustments to the premium or prolong the period of coverage to compensate for the period that the vehicle was laid up. I should also add that as a company, again, driven by the principle of compassion, that we have in fact also looked at several ways in which we can make it easier for the policyholders. So in the territories where the regulatory framework would allow us to do premium financing or to allow people to pay over several months, we have in fact agreed to allow people to pay up to 4 months without interest. And from periods from month 5, I should say, until month 10, month 11, we have reduced our interest rate by as much as 50% to again offer a concession to our policyholders. And again, in those instances where people, based on their preferred mode of payment, don't feel comfortable with using online payment or even credit cards, we have in fact agreed to provide cover and give that 2 to 3 month period before we cancel the policy. So you have sufficient time to make arrangements to make premium payments. So there are several ways in which we could work together in terms of providing that kind of relief.
Thank you, Keston. The next question relates to CSR, and similarly to telemedicine, I feel it would be useful right now, before we go into the question, for us to give an overview of what we have been doing with regard to CSR during this difficult period for the world, but indeed our region. Can I ask you, Ingrid, to speak to that?
Sure. Thanks, Caroline, and good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for joining. So we approached our assistance to CSR in twofold: to the governments in the region and then to our communities. As Ravi mentioned earlier, we gave $1 million US dollars that we distributed across the region, and the money was used depending on the needs of the governments in the various jurisdictions. So in Barbados, the government will be purchasing the walk-through scanners for our ports. In the Eastern Caribbean, cash was donated along with purchasing the handheld scanners. In Trinidad, money was donated to the government, and we also lend support to, money was also given to Jamaica, but right now we're focusing on the Southern Caribbean. For our communities, and as Ravi said, this is something that is in our DNA. We looked at assisting the homeless or the vulnerable or youth or communities in need and the elderly. And so depending on the region and the need, that's what we focused on. We also, and in addition to that, we also delivered a number of care packages directly and also through NGOs and through government agencies. We have also launched an online camp we wanted to ensure that when parents are home and the majority of us are working from home, that if the kids are not in school, that there's something to keep them occupied. So we have an online camp. It is done through our social media channels. So I would recommend that if you're not yet following us, that you follow Sagicor through any of our social media channels. And through that, we actually worked with professionals, of course, ensuring that we adhere to social distancing. So in some instances, the recording is homemade, meaning just a cell phone recording. We have reading for the kids, we have games, we have cooking lessons. There are a number of different initiatives that we have done to lend support. I think that covers it, and we continue to lend support when needed. We continue to get emails and phone calls on a regular basis, and where possible, we continue to offer support.
Yeah, Carolyn, let me add to that. This CSR or corporate social responsibility has not just been at a institutional or entity level. Many of our branches across the region practicing social distancing, they have also, the advisors have also been engaged in a lot of grassroots community activities of giving back, and they should be commended. And at the same time, as Ingrid said, this is part of our DNA, and we want it to be a bigger part of our DNA. There are many individuals also across Sagicor, in addition to assisting with our CSR, are engaging in what we call our own PSR, personal social responsibility, because when you look at Sagicor's leadership, when you look at drilling all the way from the top to the middle management, senior management, junior management, they tend to be engaged in many NGOs, non-government organizations, whether it be the church groups, whether it be the service clubs, whatever. And they're also part and parcel of giving back. So I didn't want to give the impression that this giving back is solely at an entity level. Yes, at an entity level, there are many parts, but it's from top down and it's from bottom up, and really tremendous, I would say. Certainly as a CEO and just as a human being, I am extremely proud at the response of our people to our people.
And I will just add to that, Ravi, and this will continue. Our plan was for an initial 3 months. So this will continue through till June, and then we'll evaluate after and see what other support is necessary after that.
Having set the stage for what corporate social responsibility is, or giving in the community, the question coming out of Trinidad is whether there's any possibility of granting assistance to special needs children who come from underprivileged backgrounds through hampers and digital teaching methods. I guess when you look at it, most of what is available out there would be for people with regular needs, with children with regular needs. So they're asking about digital teaching methods for underprivileged special needs children during this time.
All right, what I will say for special needs children, we will try to, it sounds like this is a charity institution that's seeking support. I will ask that that person sends us their contact information at inthistogether@sagicor.com. We will try to locate and work with a teacher who is able to give that kind of assistance to special needs, and we'll be happy to support. So the email address again, inthistogether@sagicor.com. I will reach out to Asha in Trinidad, who is the marketing head, who will be happy to work with this group to drive this initiative. And if they also know of a teacher or anyone who is qualified to teach special needs children, that we ask them to come to us with that contact information when they send us the information in how to contact them.
I would like to add something to our clients, and I'm not being cheeky here. I'm being very sincere when I say this. You are our clients, but I know that many of you are also clients of other financial institutions. And now is the time where I would say that our initiatives, we don't charge royalties on them. They're not branded specific to us. So we would encourage you to encourage the other financial institutions you conduct business with to follow our example, and at the same time, even do more than we're doing, because we view this time as not a time of competition. This is a time for collaboration, because simply put, this is a battle between humanity and a virus. Humanity is a collective word. And so as I said, I don't mean to be cheeky at all, but I think it is important that where you are clients of other financial institutions, that you encourage them also, because I think, if we're all working at this together, and that's the key, that is our only, that is our strongest weapon against this virus, working together. And we promise not to charge any royalties on our ideas.
Now, the final question I have for CSR at this time is, what is Sagicor doing specifically for vulnerable families in Barbados?
All right, so we have already started to lend our support to vulnerable families here in Barbados. From this question, it sounds that this person is either speaking on behalf of somebody in need, or that this person is in need, him or herself. I will again give the email address and ask him or her to send us an email address if it is that she runs a charity, or she or him or whomever it is runs a charity and is in need of financial support to assist a particular group in need, and we'll be happy to support where possible. So again, just send us an email with your contact information so we can reach out to you after this broadcast to see what support that we can give. But from the question, it appears that this person either runs a charity or is a person that is in need of support. And feel free, send us the email address, and we'll be in touch right after this broadcast.
Thank you, Ingrid. So I'm going to move along now to a mortgage question, the first for the afternoon. And this question is about interest rates. And basically the question indicates that when there are fluctuations in that they have a variable mortgage with us. The rates have been trending downward for some time, and they expected to benefit from these movements. Is Sagicor anticipating to pass on these lower rates to clients? And they're also indicating that typically, sorry, my computer has chosen this time to, right. They're also indicating that typically in these situations, as interest rates fluctuate and they're on a variable mortgage, that they would expect to receive some form of relief. I don't know if anyone. Let
me first start with the principle. So Kathy, it looks as if you're jumping up and down on your chair with excitement, but I presume it's your computer that's doing that. When interest rates move up or down, and the client is right, if interest rates move down, then we will pass on those savings. That's just part and parcel of how we behave, because when interest rates move up, we equally charge more. So that goes without question. But interest rates are not set by Sagicor. Let me first make that, people may under the illusion, but we are not the central banks of the various countries. Okay, interest rates are set by buyers and sellers, and there's a base or minimum interest rate typically set by the central banks. So once that, we will take our signal of those authorities and we will pass on those savings accordingly. So that's a general principle. But that is outside of our control. So when that happens, yes, we will act. What we are saying is, in the meantime, I think it would be prudent for any client who believes paying their mortgages, they may be under some strain. Listen, you have sacrificed to own a house or own a business, and you have trusted us to work with you to own it. Simply talk to us. We'll find a way to work with you. So this goes beyond an interest rate argument. Outside of interest rates, you can extend a mortgage. Okay, that's just another way you can deal with it. So each client's circumstances will vary. And that's what we're saying is come and work with us. And view any savings and interest rates if and when they occur by the authorities as gravy. Don't let it be the main piece of chicken. Come and work with us.
Now, there are a lot of questions and they would be they're quite similar. And so I know that we touched on it, but because there are so many of them, it occurs to me that our clients are quite concerned about this particular issue. And that issue, again, is the issue of having had a policy with us for a number of years. A number of the questions indicate that those customers may have already lost a job and are asking if we will wait until they get their national insurance checks before lapsing the policy. Some are talking about now having only one person in the household versus two working at this point in time. So there's a lot of concern and anxiety from our customers about the ability to not lose their investment in the insurance policy that they would have paid into over a number of years. And so I'm going to raise that one more time so that our
Right. So let me deal with
are
that.
clear on our position.
Right. So first of all, it is not in our interest and is certainly not in yours. It would not be wise financial thinking if you were to simply terminate your policy. So this is why we said between March to June, in the first instance, we will not terminate any policies, and we'll review that position again at the end of June. So we would like you to have some insurance rather than none. That's our starting point. And it's in your interest to have some insurance rather than none. So again, you know, that can be dealt with either through a longer period or by a lower premium for lower benefits, or by the same premium. You know, there are different mechanisms that or options available to you for you to have some insurance rather than none. So again, please do not, we're not terminating your policies in these next 3 months. So we're asking you for you not to do so. Okay, because this is a partnership. So, and even if you feel like doing so, pause, don't do anything, and then the next day come and talk to us, and we will work with you. We have options available. Once you're willing to work with us, we'll find a way for you to have some insurance rather than none. Do not undo your sacrifice.
It's a difficult situation, but I think the message here is that we want to reassure our customers that we are in this together. And as long as you approach us, we will continue to work with you. So the next question I have regards an attempt in Trinidad and Tobago to pay premiums for the year in January. And the customer is indicating that that was not allowed to happen. And they're wondering the reason for that and if that's something that can be revisited.
I'll ask Robert to take that, but I'm not sure we understand the specific nature of the question. What it trying to...
So basically, the customer said that their wife went into the branch in January to pay their premiums for the year, and were told they were only able to pay it for a 3-month period, and they're asking if this could be revisited.
Well, first of all, let me say that man is a very lucky man to have a wife who can pay 12 months premium at once, right? I wish we were all so lucky. And because that's certainly uncommon. And I am actually surprised that we refuse taking 12 months money, but I would say I would ask Robert to deal with that, and I'm certain we can fix it, but I'll ask Robert to answer.
Thanks, Ravi. Thanks, Carolyn. Good afternoon to everyone. Thanks for joining us here this evening. As Ravi and everyone has said, this is really an exciting opportunity that we have. That was actually a question that we received a little bit earlier. I'm happy to report that we were able to contact the client today and sorted the matter out, recommended that we could change the modal premium of the policy. Apparently, when the policy was taken out, it was set up as a monthly payment. Obviously, the financial strength of the client has grown since having been associated with the policy from inception. So we contacted them and have made some recommendations in terms of treating with that.
All's well that ends well.
All's well that ends well. So this question, I think, Ed, you may be in a position to answer this one. And the question is, they currently have a pension plan with us. And as a result of the pandemic, they're asking if any kind of pension payment reprieve is being given at this point in time.
I'm not sure of the exact nature of that question, because we have two types of pensions. We have pension payments that we make for those who have retired, and as long as they're alive and each year they show us proof of life, we pay them that benefit. And then there are pension plans that we administer, meaning that it's an employer or someone else, so we simply administer it. So assuming
this
it's
one appears to be someone who's paying premiums or some kind of monthly payment into the pension department.
Well, I will ask James to have a go, but to the extent that the answer doesn't fit exactly the question, we would ask that person to contact us directly to really understand the specific nature, because there's still some ambiguity. But James, assuming it's the latter, perhaps you can have a go.
Okay, so afternoon, everybody. Assuming that it's a group pension plan rather than an individual policy, basically during this period of time, companies can suspend their contributions and either make it back up later on, in which case the members' benefits will not be affected, or they could leave that period suspended, in which case that period of service will not be allowed for the calculation of the members' retirement benefits. If it's an individual policy, then I suppose only what was said earlier about policies not lapsing and so on for 3 months will apply.
But again, if that answer doesn't dovetail specifically with those circumstances, please contact us.
Yep.
Now, the other question, the next pension question is a question from the Barbados market. And it is, can you tell me when the British American employee pension payments will start for those persons who've reached 60 years old?
I'm not. Is Stephen on the line?
Let me repeat the question. So it's a former British American customer, now a Sagicor customer, asking when premium payments will begin for people who have reached 60 years old.
All right. Rather than give an ambiguous answer, what we will say is, if that person can contact us directly, and we'll answer that one, because I just don't understand the question totally.
Understood. So the next question is health claim related. And due to this pandemic, I am the one and only working member of my family, and therefore would like to know if there's a grace period for lapsed payments, and also how to make payments when I'm able. Thank you for this forum.
I take it that would be individual health. Perhaps James, would you like to take that, please?
So under the individual health policies, there's a 1 month grace period, which we have extended to an extra month. So we now have a 2 month grace period to pay premiums, during which time we will pay claims. Okay, so basically any deferral by up to 2 months is now possible without affecting your claim payments.
Thank you, James. And the second health question is, my doctor emailed my prescription to the pharmacy. I've been able to get my medication, but to file the claim, I need a Sagicor insurance form. I can't get to the doctor's office to have it filed, signed, and stamped by my doctor. What do I do now?
James or Susan?
Susan. Yeah, sure. I'll take that one. No problem. So what we've done, we have, if you go to our sagicor.com website, we have actually fillable claims forms that you can complete and submit. We are asking you to submit that with either a picture of your Carry Care card or and supported with picture IDs. We recognize that you may not be able to sign at this time once your doctor has supported that. So that's how we are doing it. So again, go to our sagicor.com website and to the area of downloadable forms. You will see the forms, you can complete that. And we're asking you to submit that to, I mentioned the email addresses before: Barbados Local Claims, Trinidad Local Claims, EC Local Claims, Belize Local Claims, with the supporting ID and a picture of your Carry Care card. I hope that answers the question.
Yes, and sticking with claims, this is a query by a plan administrator who has sent in claims on behalf of employees and has received an automated response. But the question is, they're asking about the turnaround time and information that they can, and how will they be receiving information to share with their employees.
Okay. So a couple things. We sent out email at the start of this, I guess from working from home, to all group administrators with instructions as to how they can submit claims, how they can pay those, how we will pay them, how they can pay their premiums, and so on. If you have not received that, because what we found is that a number of emails have bounced back. We have tried again. We've even sent out SMS messages for mobile numbers that we have. What we are asking you is to contact our contact center, and they will guide you through the process. Hope that answers the question, Carolyn.
Yes. Now the next question is about life certificates, and once more I feel like the definition of what a life certificate is sets the context for our audience. So if somebody can just kind of describe what a life certificate is and then answer the question, how will we be dealing with life certificates during this period of time?
James?
Okay, so first of all, a life certificate basically is proof of being alive, so that every year a pensioner has to sign these documents so that we can continue their pension payments until either the end of the guarantee period or until they pass away, or to their spouse if there's a spousal pension after their death. So basically, we normally give those life certificates out to all our pensioners in March, and we'll wait until maybe July or thereabouts before we actually stop pension payments. So there actually is about another 2 or 3 months before we take any action. Having said that, if this situation continues, we will obviously review the situation towards the end of June before going forward.
So the message is, if you're alive, please let us know.
Correct.
Okay. Reports of my death have been exaggerated.
That's right.
Okay then. So for Barbados Now, I have a question regarding Scotiabank Online and the possibility of adding them as an online pay payee as an online payment option, similar to how we do bill pay with CIBC First Caribbean.
And that's Raul.
Okay, good afternoon again. Yes, no, if you have a Scotia account, you can pay us online. You will have to pay us using the transferring facility. So you go on the Scotia site and you go to the transfer facility and put in Sagicor's account information, and you will be able then to make the payment by transferring the money from your bank account into our bank account. But I want to let customers know that we are currently working on a more efficient online facility to make it much easier. But in the interim and in this time, COVID-19 time, you can still pay us directly by using the transfer facility. Hope to answer the question.
Okay. Now, I'm not going to ask this question verbatim because I have about 3 or 4 questions that basically distill into this single question, which is, are we looking at or working on a more seamless online payment platform, which will allow our customers greater flexibility in payments directly to us, using credit cards, etc., and also receiving instant digital receipts, because there are some concerns. People like to know that they have that receipt in their hand. So that's a question coming from a number of territories. And
okay, the short answer is yes, and the long answer is yes, yes.
Okay. So this is somewhat off the COVID beaten path, but this question regards the new Sagicor share arrangement. And they're asking about the difference in the number of shares now that they have shares in the Toronto Stock Exchange versus the local exchanges.
So let me first of all, there will be an annual general meeting for shareholders that will be held virtually. And that is where all shareholder related issues will be dealt with. This meeting is solely to deal with client related issues. Because once I open, it's not that I'm running away from the question, but once I allow one shareholder related question, it means I will have to deal with others and deviate from the purpose of this meeting. So what I would say is, please hold strain with us. We are seeking to convene our virtual shareholder meeting, certainly within the next, I would say 2-3 months, and at which point we will address all of those issues.
Understood. Now this question interestingly comes out of Guyana. And the question is, I live and work in Guyana and I am a policyholder. However, clients in Guyana are disadvantaged because there's no Sagicor office there. We don't have the carry care card and we make upfront payments. Is Sagicor looking at regularizing its status in Guyana to offer more benefits to the policyholders there?
Again, the short answer is yes, we're looking at Guyana, and the long answer is yes, we're looking at Guyana.
Okay.
Because Guyana is part and parcel of the Caribbean, and we recognize that, we need to have a presence there.
So we are coming to St. Lucia at this point in time. And the question is, basically it surrounds the ability of advisors at this point in time in St. Lucia to provide a new quotation for a policy. I'm sure that's a great question for you, right, Don?
Yes, definitely. Okay, in terms of our services from our advisors, we have part of the move into working from home arrangement. We have provided the advisors with a lot of capability and facilities that they can use to contact their customers. And certainly in terms of new services, we in the interest of the customer and in the interest of the advisor, we've been indicating that we should try and utilize the technology as much as possible. So they have been using things like WhatsApp, some of the Zoom type meetings, etc. Now, I think when we're also doing a lot of training for our advisors so that they understand the sort of new paradigm that we're in, and effectively their ability to interact with customers, be able to fill out application forms, pay online, all of that has been set up. So we made it an online process. We do have e-app, which is effectively allow customers to interact with their advisors and be able to put their applications in seamlessly. But even if we have to use a virtual application service, we have forms, e-forms, which allows the advisors also to interact with our customers and be able to submit the proposals. So the application. So it's very much a different process from what we've been accustomed to, because obviously it's been more face-to-face direct contact. But in this sort of COVID-19 environment, we want to ensure that both our customers as well as our advisors sort of adhere to the WHO rules of social distancing, but at the same time provide our customers the opportunity to understand the products and services we offer. So that is what is happening in terms of providing services and quotations for our customers.
I'm going to stay with you a bit because we've got some questions from Antigua and Dominica.
Mm-hmm.
The first one is, now that insurance companies are considered essential services, and I assume that is very specific to Antigua because I know it's not the case in some of the other territories, will Sagicor Antigua be reopened?
Yes, I've mentioned earlier, we sort of went to 100% work from home environment. Insurance companies have been included. We're in the process because we didn't just want to go back right away. We want to obviously set up our processes to make sure when we do go back into office, everything is set up for customers. It involves ensuring that we do a full cleaning of the building. There's a lot of processes involved in terms of both to the benefit of our clients, as well as to the benefit of our advisor, but our admin team. And so we're in the process of looking to ensure that we do a full industrial cleaning of our building, for example, and then we'll go through the process of transitioning back some of the services over a period of time into the physical environment. What I would hasten to say though is that I wouldn't want customers to see that as the only way to interact with us. As I said, even though we're not physically there meeting with customers, we do have a Dropbox. So we know that a lot of customers have been using that to provide their queries and claims, etc. We also have online services for those who want to make payments. And we also have contact centers, both local contact centers as well as the regional contact center. So we feel that persons can almost interact with us almost as per normal, okay? But physical interaction, there will be a process of moving back to full physical interaction. But obviously we want to make sure that we keep both our employees safe as well as our clients safe. And we're going through that process of reviewing that and about to put that back in place.
Carolyn, I want to emphasize the point here. We can't reopen something that wasn't closed. Sagicor never closed for business. Throughout various lockdowns, curfews, etc., Sagicor has always been open for business, and Sagicor will continue to be open for business. The fact that we closed, some of our offices, we never interrupted the conduct of business. So I want this message to go out very much to our clients. We never closed. We cannot reopen. We have always been open. All we're doing is engaging you in a different way. That's all we are doing. But we're engaging you in a way that many of you are used to. When you engage, many of you travel, many of you engage using other electronic forms of payment, when you use services like Netflix or use Amazon. I would say look at Sagicor as the insurance Amazon of the Caribbean and the insurance Netflix of the Caribbean through the online programs we have. So please open your minds to that. That's what we are trying to do. We are open. We will remain open.
Ravi, I would just add to that a reminder that we do have a mobile app. And that mobile app, if you download it, you can get services across Sagicor General Business, the health, individual life, mortgages. So we encourage you to use our digital platforms as much as possible. Just wanted to add that.
Just on that point, I'd also like to add that, we have the life portal that's available through the website, where clients can as well get updates on the respective policies. They can download maintenance forms to be able to change addresses, change beneficiaries. So there's a remarkable number of ways that clients can interact with us. And we really encourage everyone to pursue those opportunities as they seek to fulfill their needs. And if they can't do it through those mechanisms, please reach out to our contact center, 8 to 8, Monday to Friday. But these days it seems more like Sunday to Sunday. But please reach out to us and find a way to help.
Right. So there was a question from Antigua, which I believe, we basically answered in some of what we've said just now. And the question is about setting up an app where customers can pay their bills online and having a receipt emailed to them also. Now, Ravi would have already noted that we are looking at an online solution, but in addition to what Robert said about the client portal, that recurring concern of customers about having a physical receipt, the online portal does allow to go in to see and to check and to verify that your payment has been applied to your account. So that is a level of comfort that the portal provides.
Let me make this promise to our clients. In these times, the idea of physical receipts is really a relic of the past. But we will send you an acknowledgement that you have paid. And I can assure you, once you have honored your payment to Sagicor, Sagicor will honor its claims to you, full stop. A physical piece of paper will not be used as an excuse by us. We will simply send you an electronic acknowledgement that you have paid. That is, so please don't get caught up that we are going to in any way try to find reasons not to work with you or not to honor our claims. That is simply not who we are. Simply not who we are. So when we receive a claim, we don't scour our policy contracts to find a way not to pay you. It is the opposite. Find a way to pay you. And it is only if absolutely we can't because it's an invalid claim, we won't pay you. We don't, but that is simply not who we are. You have trusted us and we value that trust and we behave in such a manner. So please don't get caught up with these physical receipts.
Now this question is addressed to Barbados and mortgages. It's very specific to a particular customer's experience with their mortgage. This customer resides overseas. And the question basically is surrounding having a standardized operating procedure for mortgages. I feel like this might be a question that we might need to address very specifically with the customer. Ed, you just want to kind of give
Ed would like to address it.
Say again?
Ed would like to address it. If you tell us the nature of the specific question.
The nature of the question is that the customer is having difficulties being remote in terms of how the mortgage is being processed. And so as such is asking for some assistance in terms of being able to manage it remotely.
Well, hi, good afternoon, everybody. Pleasure to be here. I believe this person should contact our mortgage department. It obviously is a specific question relating to their own mortgage. So I'm not sure of the details, what they're trying to determine here. So it's better to make direct contact with our mortgage department because we do have standard processes in place, but I'm not sure what is the particular problem entailed in this customer's query. So.
Yeah, I think we very much ask that customer, and you know who you are because there was only one foreign mortgage query that we had, to reach out to inthistogether@sagicor.com, give us details of the difficulties you're experiencing so that it can be addressed very specifically to your situation. This question is for Trinidad and Tobago. My daughter is 18 and needs to provide a letter from school to remain on the health plan, but the school is closed. What's the way forward?
James?
Hi, afternoon again. So basically, every year we ask for proof of being in education, whether it's at school or university, as the case may be. Obviously, we'd have gotten letters since September last year, which will cover the period up to August this year. If schools opened in September or universities open in September, all well and good. We will require proof at that point in time. If they don't, we will keep the policies in force until schools reopen.
Thank you, James. This is a question for Barbados. They're asking again about online payments to facilitate the receipt of premiums. And they're also asking why they can use their credit cards with Sagicor General and not with Sagicor Life.
Raul?
Hi, good afternoon. With respect to Sagicor Life and the credit cards, we are working right now on an initiative with banks so that we will be able to accept credit cards. With respect to First Caribbean, who've gone and replaced their debit card with the Visa debit, which is a Visa card, we do accept those cards to make payment. But what I would say to the customers that if they have any issues with respect to payment, they can call our call center and we will work with them. We will find a way for that customer to make payment to Sagicor.
Yeah, Carolyn, what I would say is that we recognize even prior to COVID-19 that it was a weakness on our part where we did not facilitate credit cards. And so we started that initiative to facilitate credit cards prior to the pandemic. But because we operate in 19 countries, and for us as a brand, we want what we offer to one, we want to offer to all. And so that takes some time. But definitely that is on the cards. We do recognize it as a weakness and it is being remedied. So we would simply ask our clients to bear with us because that is something we are looking to roll out this year.
This question regards people who have loans with Sagicor Finance, and they're asking if there's any kind of relief that will be being offered in terms of payments, etc.
Let me take that one. The simple answer to use Ravi's terms is yes. Like the other lending facilities we have in fact agreed to offer concessions to those individuals who would have been negatively impacted by COVID-19. So borrowers who have facilities with Sagicor Finance Inc. are asked to contact the company and have a discussion in terms of ways in which we could assist. As Ravi would have articulated before, there are several ways we could do so in terms of offering extensions in terms of payments, restructuring the facility, but the individual circumstances vary. So we would encourage you to reach out to Sagicor Finance Inc. and have that discussion.
Here's a question which I feel may have occurred to other Sagicor customers, especially since there's intense concern about lapses, etc. And this customer is unemployed and wants to keep their cash value of their policy for the future. But the actual question is, if they're not able to make their payment for 2 months, they understand that their policy will not lapse. But what happens if they die within that period?
First of all, it would be unfortunate if that happened, but if it happened, we would honor the claim.
A short answer that I believe gives relief to many. The next question, and we're coming to the end of the questions we just got a few more. But that question is, hold on. I have a St. Lucia policy, but I live in Trinidad. Every month I pay, and there's a different conversion rate. How will I be able to tell within this current context the correct amount to pay for this month?
Right.
Let me take that, Ravi.
Go ahead, Robert. Thank you.
What I would suggest to the client, Carolyn, is that they pay the same amount that they paid last month, and the matter will be dealt with. We continue to accept payments for other territories. So not to complicate things, I like the answer Ravi gave earlier, yes and yes, yes. So just pay the same amount you paid last month, and we'll figure it out after that.
Okay. The other question is for Trinidad as well. I would like to defer payments to my individual pension plan. I have a standing order with the bank. Do I have to defer via the bank or via Sagicor itself?
Robert?
Since your arrangements are via the bank, you have given the bank those instructions to charge your account on a monthly basis and pay Sagicor. So you will have to stop the payment at the bank. The bank will not take our instructions to stop the payment.
Ed, this question is directed at you. I was recently terminated from a tourism organization. I want to convert my life plan, but need some time to secure a new job within this time period. Will the conversion period be extended, or can it be extended?
So they want to convert their life.
So, you know, when they usually they get the letter that says,
yes,
you're leaving, we're willing to convert it for you.
Right, right.
No plan, yes.
So, I mean, as we said, we are extending all these things until the 30th of June. So we will give this individual until 30th of June. And at that time, we assess the situation. But right now, we have until 30th of June for them to convert.
Wonderful. And this question, staying with Barbados, this is a Barbadian living in Miami who pays her mother's insurance, and she's trying to find out if there's any way to send the electronic payment directly from her bank in Miami to ours in Barbados?
Yes, we do have the ability to make transfers to our bank accounts, which we have already published. But if the individual wants to get more detailed information, they can call our contact center at 1-800-744-7707 and provide details or get further details on that if they are not sure. But we do have the ability to receive transfers from foreign bank accounts into our local bank accounts. And what we'll do is when the individual sends the payment, if they could get a copy of the electronic banking receipt and email that to us. And I know there are emails, but if they contact the contact center at the 1-800-744-7707, we'll be able to help them even with a lot more detailed information on how to do it.
Thank you, Anne.
But Carolyn, you know, many of our clients, in addition to contacting our call centers directly, many of them have relationships with advisors, and you know, they should also reach out. We encourage them to also reach out to their advisors. The advisors, you know, can hold their hand through the process. Because we recognize that insurance at times can be somewhat arcane. And two, it also allows them an opportunity to, you know, assess to have a financial or an insurance health check. So I would really encourage them also to reach out to their advisors, not just our contact centers.
Agreed. Now this customer, no country identified, is asking, are new life and medical policies being underwritten at this time? And is coverage for COVID-19 automatically included in the new policies? And if it is included, are the standard normal rates that existed before COVID-19, do they still apply?
That is an expert technical question. The answer is yes, we are still writing new business that will cover COVID-related claims. Now, right now, we are looking at how to conduct business in a COVID-19 world. So where clients may have to be rated or not rated, meaning either because of the health status, there may be higher prices or not. That is something we are looking at. And the reason why we're looking at it is we recognize that simply now is not the time to raise prices. In fact, generally across the board, we have not done so deliberately, even where circumstances warranted. So right now we are looking at that because, as I said, our strong inclination is not to add to the problem. It is to be part of the solution. So I would say that is, if you're looking to get a new policy and COVID-related coverage, we'll provide it. So don't worry too much about it. We'll provide it.
Thank you. This is a question from a client in Barbados. I'm from Barbados. I'm unemployed in light of what's happening. Can any leniency be extended to FPA policies? I don't know if somebody can tell us what FPA policies are, but can any leniency be extended to FPA policy owners so they can have an access to a percentage of their funds? I am happy to work with you. I am hoping you can work with me. I don't know what FPA policies are. Raul, we're not hearing you well. You're muted.
Right. That's a flexible premium annuity. James, you're very familiar with that plan. You want to take that?
You see what I meant about a playing 11?
Yeah.
The catch was jugged and well caught by James.
No, it wasn't, because I'm not familiar with that plan at all. That's an individual plan.
James.
James is gonna flick it to somebody else now.
Okay, what I would say there, Caroline, is that that person needs to call in. The FPA is a flexible premium annuity, is an annuity plan. They should not be affected during this period because it's an annuity. But what they can do is to call us at the customer center, at the call center, which operates between 8 and 8, and give us more information, and we will have our technical persons in that area give them a response and hold their hand and work with them.
Yeah, Carolyn, as we said at the outset, we may not have all of the answers to your questions, but certainly your questions will not go unanswered. Whether it be the first port of call, your advisor. We would really prefer that, because that is where you will get more expert, personalized advice. And then you can go to a contact center where you may, that's more clarification on processes. But we want you to first get a proper health check and understanding from your advisor. That was your first point of contact. And where we can't answer it, we certainly will do our damnedest to answer it. Now, as I said before, this is a conversation, and this is a conversation with Caribbean people. So, we recognize, so if our sense of humor is at play here also, but we're not underestimating the gravity of the event. We are here to have a conversation, and we're here to, in a way, as much as possible, answer you where we can. So I just wanted to, please don't be disappointed if we can't answer all of your questions.
Thank you, Ravi. I'm getting some more questions on the health side. I'm not sure if I understand it. So customer, if your question is not answered based on the answer you received in a minute, if it's not a clear answer for you, then just contact us at inthistogether@sagicor.com and just kind of clarify the question. Now it is, we have 2 adult children who attend university. However, we got the Medicare card for them, but it doesn't work. And we have to fill out the form, which is ineffective. This sounds as if they're trying to use that card overseas. I don't know if James or Susan, you can speak to that.
Yeah, James here. The cards are basically to be used in the country of issue. So that if you're based in Trinidad and you take a policy house in Trinidad, you use it in Trinidad. If you are based in Barbados, it's to be used in Barbados. It's not to be used in the States or anywhere else around the world.
I would just add to that, it may be also a question related to the fact that your provider has not signed up for the CariCare swipe card. So we encourage you to encourage your providers to sign up with us for the CariCare service, just to make sure we cover all options.
Okay, thank you. Now this question again seems very specific. It's specific to Trinidad and Tobago, and it surrounds a pension query. And they're asking, I would like to know if there's any staff working to get approvals to pay client pensions. Now, again, this sounds like a very specific situation. I don't know if there's an overall answer you can give, Robert, but otherwise, can this customer please reach out to us?
I'd say reach out to us because the question itself is unclear.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed. Now, this question again is specific to Trinidad. I have a question about the payment of my policies during this time. My husband has a company that he owns. He is the key man. I believe it's a life policy. The premium is paid via company check. I understand Sagicor is using SurePay at present, and I stand to be corrected, but I don't think that SurePay accepts checks or credit card payments, and that's correct. The premium is over $5,000, and SurePay only accepts links or cash. Our company doesn't have a links card attached to it. How can this policy be paid?
So Carolyn, what I would say, just in response to the earlier question about the annuity, what I would recommend is that the client, as Ravi had suggested, they can contact the advisor, and the advisor is definitely going to be able to help them to resolve the issue. Otherwise, they can also contact us through the contact center or email us, and we'll be able to treat with the specific request. With regard to the payment of the question you just read, I guess like the answers have been in for all other territories. We have bank accounts at every single financial institution in Trinidad and Tobago. You can, if you are a customer of any one of those banks, you can transfer money from your bank account directly into the Sagicor account at that institution. And that information is readily available as well. Each account that we have in each bank and the instructions of how to do so. Just one request, that when you do the transfer, we suggest and we request that you send us an email at the email address that is available with regard to a confirmation of the amount paid and the policies that are paid, that you're paying. So yes, you can pay at any institution. And when you do pay using the banking instructions, we request that you send us an email with regard to the details of sale.
Thank you, Robert. This question applies to Dominica, but it also applies to a health claim. I think I understand what's happened here, but I'm going to throw it out to the experts. So I'm concerned that your policies may not apply across the board. In Dominica, I claimed on glasses and only got a refund for one of the frames. It says one of the frames or lenses, but I think what they mean is they either got a refund for the frame or for the lenses. And I was told I couldn't be covered for the other. It didn't make sense to me. And I was told by another agency on the island, it didn't make sense to them either. Please advise.
We would have to deal with that on that specific basis, because the very nature of the circumstances seems odd, and so we would need to deal with that directly.
Yes, that's probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sometimes what's happened is that the lenses have already been covered within the period. And so now that they're changing the frames, they wouldn't be covered again during the period because they've maximized. But we'd ask that customer to reach out and give us specifics.
Yes.
Yep, thank you.
This question regards automatic premium loan charges. And they're asking if our decision not to lapse their policies means that they will be receiving any automatic premium loan charges which will accrue on their accounts.
Raul?
Okay. With respect to the automatic premium loan, within this 3 months period, no, we would not be charging any automatic premium loans in this period. However, when the period has been closed, you then would then need to make payments of your premium within a specified period. So we will be in contact with customers, as well as we would put things out in the media as to the time period that you would have to make payments when we open up physically for business. But in this period, no automatic premium loans will be charged within the next 3 months.
Thank you. That is.
And Carolyn, if I may add, we will actually be encouraging our advisors to reach out to their clients to have specific and direct discussions around their particular or specifics so that we can guide them along the way.
Thank you, Paul. And I think that's key. I know that our advisors across the region have been reaching out to their customers. If their customer has a specific query, the advisor is your point of contact. They're your first point of relationship, and they're available to help you and to help you navigate any questions you have during this time. At this point in time, I would like to ask our EVP of Human Resources, Margaret Eswick, to just say a few words on how we are treating with our staff during this period of time, what our plans are in terms of managing during this period, and just give us a very human resource perspective.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you, Carolyn, for giving me this opportunity. We have, over the past 4 weeks, first of all, reached out to our staff in 2 virtual town hall meetings, the first of which basically we announced what we were going to do in an effort really to make everyone safe, to remove everyone from the workplace. In one of, I think it was quite a phenomenal experience, and it showed how agile our staff were and how prepared we were to roll out what we had initially conceptualized as a project, as a pilot project. We moved 100% of our teams out of what we saw was a dangerous and evolving dangerous environment into the safety of a work from home program. And that was done over a 2-week period. It was a phenomenal achievement. And I think we have to celebrate what we were able to do. It reflected the preparedness of our staff in terms of the training that we had done, their familiarity with the technology that we had invested in over many, many years, and the ability for us to transform and move from the situation we were faced in to move to the platform where we delivered most of our services via an e-platform. During that period, we have continuously reached out to our staff. We provided training to work in a virtual environment, both to our managers and our staff. We've reached out to our staff to assure them, most of all, and I think this is quite significant for us as a company across the region, giving them the mental security that their jobs were safe for the next 3 months. I think this is a phenomenal thing for any company to do. And by putting our staff in a mental space, basically, where they did not have to worry about the well-being of themselves and their family. They were in a comfortable place, basically, to continue to provide and to support our customers through what is a very, very unusual business period for anyone across the entire world. So we looked after the safety of our staff. We made sure that they were prepared and well placed to continue to deliver good customer service. We continue to provide them with online training. We continue to reach out to them continuously through Zumba online sessions, yoga online sessions, and through an ongoing set of programs that we will run during our lunchtime periods that will reach out on issues of mental health and to continue our ongoing training so that they are better placed and more comfortable as we work through this difficult period. I think that's as much as I can say in a nutshell. Our management team has continued to work 18 hours a day. We are in continuous contact with staff. I've said to the management team, though we're not paying any overtime for this. It's all the effort that we're going to put in to make sure that we transition the organization, that we work together to make sure that we keep in contact with each other and we keep in contact with our teams. But it's an interesting period as we look at the agility of our teams and how engaged everyone has become in this period. As we said, as we all in this together, and we will work through and find a way to continue delivering exceptional service and continuing to support our communities during this period of time.
Thank you, Margaret. A local marketing company coined the phrase "Sir Thrive." So not just to survive, but thrive through this period. Ravi,
excellent. Yes.
This is our last, we've run out of questions. I think that's an achievement. And I'd like to hand over to you to wrap up for our customers before we sign off.
So firstly, what I would like to say, well, Carolyn, thank you. I would like to say to our clients, thank you for participating in this conversation. We believe that once we work together, we will overcome this existential threat. Because in the Caribbean, we have been used to overcoming significant adversities significant uncertainties. And Sagicor is simply not here to add to your stress. Sagicor is here to reduce your stress and to provide comfort and reassurance. And we are choosing to provide those comforts and those reassurances. You know, every 3 months we're reviewing the situation, but really through the lens of compassion, through the lens of speed. And in fact, even though various governments have instituted stay-at-home orders, I can tell you, our Sagicor people from, you know, at all levels, stay at home in Sagicor has really been translated into stay at Sagicor 24 hours.
Yes.
So Margaret says 18 hours, it's actually being very modest. It's stay at Sagicor. That's what it's been. And we just wanted to share with you, and please continue, you know, talking to us. As I said, whether it's complimentary or whether it's constructive criticism, we like to know where we stand with you because we want to improve. We simply want to improve, and that improvement can only come through this type of interactions. We promise you it will not be the last. And so I'd like to end as how I started. We are here with you. We will work with you. Thank you very much. Please stay safe and please stay strong.
Thank you, Ravi. So to our customers and friends, that's all the time we have today. We're so thankful for your business and for you joining us today for this virtual town hall. We want to remind you, if you have very specific queries on your account, please reach out to your local Sagicor call center or use the click to chat feature on our website and we will be there to respond. My name is Carolyn Shepherd. On behalf of all of us here at Sagicor, stay home, stay safe, save lives. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, everybody, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.